Well, hi, Christine. I haven't
Well,
seen
how
you
do you
in a
know?
day.
In a day, well, it feels like a week ago, but it was 3 days ago in a different state.
Yes, yes. Welcome back to LA, and for anybody joining us for the first time, welcome to Double D-Fense. This is season 3, episode 3, and we have a lot of fun stuff to cover because Christine and I have been adventuring to the great beyond for the last week.
Yes, yes. Still, I I flew in last night, so I'm still loopy right now, and I've had a all day meeting. But really super fun stuff. If you know what we were learning is, I think no matter what we do, where we go, we can always find hockey.
That is so true. That is so true. And I just want to take a step back. If this is anybody's first time, and actually, if it is not your first time listening, maybe you do not know this about
Just get used
Christine.
to it.
But yeah, we'll truth drop here. If you do not know this about Christine, one of Christine's hobbies and passions is the paranormal world. And I had the great fortune of being able to accompany her to MIPARACON, which is a massive paranormal convention in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, which is Upper Peninsula, Michigan. Not an area of the world I had been before, a place you have been many times.
Absolutely. They've run this event for 15 years. 14 events occurred because one was quarantined, and I've been to half of them every year. So it's definitely a pilgrimage up in, I mean, literally, it's so far away. Like I was laughing. I would go and fly into Detroit to catch the flight up, and people are like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I'm going to Michigan," and they would look at me funny, and uh, and it was like I was in Michigan, so I never knew. I didn't know where I was going. Geography is terrible for me. So yeah, so I've been pilgrimaging up there. This was the last year, so it's bittersweet. So a lot of fun, family. Last year, if you remember, like last year, I was up there in the back bar, which you've now experienced with me. And there was a guy there with a Rangers shirt on, and I was like, "What?"
I
And
feel bad for that guy,
I know
knowing the way
I
that you
accosted
react.
him.
Yeah,
His family, they're like, "What? Who is this person? And why is she touching you?" You
yeah.
know. And so and we took pictures and stuff. So it's pretty funny. I mean, we saw a couple. I think you saw a couple of there was, I think there was a Red Wings. There was some other things. There was hockey conversations. It was fun.
Absolutely. Even though it was the middle of the summer, and this is part of what we're doing in the off season to stay somewhat sane while we wait
For
for opening day to come around. I
exactly.
and I think the I would wonder about the odds on bovadasportsbook.com about you and I getting to a paranormal convention together during the
And
off
talking
season
hockey,
and
right?
talking hockey at the same time. So I'm
Because there
I'm
was a lot.
thoroughly impressed.
There's a lot of Shoresy. We again
Yes.
Detroit Red Wings. Oh, and then we had weird sports. With those warehouse games we discovered. Okay, people, what the heck is that stuff? Not only was there like that wiffle ball weird cricket shit, that we were watching, and I think we were drunk too, but it came up again. And so we were talking about the bar. I was literally trying to tell my friend about it, and as I was telling him about it, it came on the TV. It was like the
This
same
this
thing.
was a new sport that I'm pretty sure has just been invented by, I think it was John Boy, and it looked like indoor cricket but played in a warehouse with a
With
wiffle
wiffle ball
ball
bat.
bat. So that sounds fun.
And then there was another then right after that another thing came up where it was like indoor field hockey with the nets. And oh yeah, it was kind of like a little indoor floor hockey thing, but the goalies were like soccer goalies. They just had big gloves and diving. So it
They're
was
just
real.
making it.
I mean, I want to feel like it was my imagination because we've been drinking the whole week. I mean, I know you joined me for half of it, but you get it. And so, but it did happen. Warehouse sports. It was really cool, but fun. So something maybe we want to kind of look at and share because especially during the summer, the off season. So
Definitely. And then one of the other fun things about Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, which I learned on the drive into town, is that it is the home of Abbey Rock. And I thought it was very cool. They actually had like an official sign, like an official highway sign. I never found that road again, so I don't know where it was. I
I
definitely
didn't
saw
see
it,
it
but
either.
they have like a proper highway sign. And then her photo up in the bar at the hotel bar that we were at, which was very, very cool.
So if you're listening and you see our post, you can know the answer, so because we just said it. So I don't think anyone's given us an answer yet. They're just like, oh, look, they're back. And so there's likes. And so, so that's it. So this will be a fun year with Bravada. I really want to kind of follow the women and their stats and stuff. So, Bravada, come on, you got to make it good. Get it on there, and let's see. So Abby is from Michigan, Ste Saint Marie, Michigan, small town, but a big hockey town. I mean, like they come in because they're right at the Canadian border. I actually ran into a family with a young, girl hockey player. She's 15, and it was really cute because she didn't know anything about the women's hockey. She knew of the teams, but she didn't have a favorite women's player. Her favorite player. Our favorite team was Toronto. So again, they're from Ontario area. And I gave her my condolences. And then she said her favorite player was Connor Bedard. And so that was cute. So I was just giving her props. I always love to kind of see the girls playing hockey and do that. She plays defense. It's what she's saying. So really
That's
cute.
so cool.
And she was at the hotel.
I was driving. I spent a lot of time driving because I flew into Traverse City, Michigan, and then drove for 3 hours to get to Sault Ste. Marie. I saw tons of Detroit Red Wings, like license plate frames, flags. There was a lot of representation for Detroit up in that neck of the woods.
I even made it up to Canada on Sunday for breakfast, and I missed it. But there was this big mural, like Canada isn't just a sport; it's a way of life, So, and by the way, all the Canadian geese hang out at the Canadian border.
That's so typical. So typical.
It was pretty fun. So, so definitely, it's fun that we incorporate. And also a lot of my friends too have learned to know my love for hockey just as much as my hockey friends know my love for the paranormal. And it's fun to merge the two and in groups, and we're going to be seeing more of this because in the same way, I am very proud of the fact that we have merged and collaborated with our wonderful friends on the other side and the podcasts that we met in the last 2 years. And it's just, we've continued to grow our friendship along that way. So that's been really fun. And it's good. And so as the season's coming to an open, Double D-Fense will be represented at the opening game at the Rangers with Ranger Dead podcasts. So props to you guys, for having the event, and then we'll be seeing you soon. So we'll talk a little bit more about that too.
I am so jealous. I'm so jealous. And I did spend a fair amount of time researching today if Madison Square Garden was haunted, because I did think that could make for an interesting story.
There's our new angle. Yeah.
And what I have learned is there's like 4 different Madison Square Gardens that have been built at various times over the course of its history. And its history is really interesting. But I did not find any evidence or stories of any specific hauntings at Madison Square Garden
that we know of.
Yeah.
We might have to go on the dark web.
Maybe. Yeah. And now as an expert,
we're adding another little stat for you, Bravada.
Yes. How many ghosts will be seen or spoken to?
Some of these older places have to be fantastic. Some of these arenas are really old. A lot of them are new or renovated. And so that's an interesting thing, because then you just kind of go into the history of some of the places. So,
totally. And I'm sure if we talk to, somebody who's worked there, I'm sure there's people there overnight at weird times. I'm sure there's lights going on and off. I'm sure that everybody has a story. Absolutely.
Telling you, one of the conversations I had was like, let's get into some of these banned places, and go and look at it.
There's a lot of history. Totally.
It's good. Like, and there used to be a site where auditorium, like school auditoriums and things like that are always haunted or always have a story, so yeah, maybe we'll research it a little further and maybe start with some of the older arenas and see if we can kind of find, some in some of these towns, like maybe Canada, so that'd be kind of fun, to kind of look into. Yeah. I'd be surprised. a lot. We do a lot of new arenas. Seattle's new. Vegas is fairly new.
Yeah.
Again, Madison Square Garden, MSG just got kind of redone a few years ago, with a little section that they kept the same. So that those kind of things change things. The Islanders have a new place. So, you know, to see, it'll be interesting to see the ones that are still like. I wonder what the oldest one is now.
I think technically, Madison Square Garden is the oldest, if not, close to it. But it's been rebuilt and it's been moved, and it's not the same. It's not the same original that it was.
That's okay. But renovations are what stir stuff up. So those are usually good for getting activity and stuff.
Oh, there's some crazy history. Like if you go back to the 30s, there's this big story, and this is maybe for a podcast for another day, but there was like literally a Nazi rally held at Madison Square Garden, which is totally wild. I mean, there's been all kinds of stuff. There's been all kinds of deaths. There's been scandalous murders. There was an affair between like the architect and like one of the investors' wives. Like there's all kinds of stuff. And I do want to do an entire episode at some point just on the history of Madison Square Garden, because I do think it's fascinating. And I do think we should do a Bovada check to see how many ghosts we might see the next time that we're there. So you'll have to be on the lookout for opening.
What are the odds? So, yeah, even like, even parts of New York are like, the movie like New York, like is it the streets of New York, like that old where there's wars, like street wars and stuff, in those times, that some of those areas were just like that, just like the movies where they're just running through the streets in the gangs of New York. That's what it was.
Yep.
So where it was really like that, and more like religion based and stuff. So, and again, not that far from from that area. So yeah, there could be kind of ties in there. That would be fun to look and research.
Yeah. We'll be diving into that for sure. But with the season opener, we are getting into like arm's reach of this long ass off season, like finally being done. What are you?
Slow.
It feels like it's been forever. What are you looking forward to this season, Christine?
I'm looking forward to a lot of good things. So since we last spoke, real quick, there's two kind of big, like the biggest one is Sam. So Sam, we know Sam's retiring. I don't feel like he's not gonna be too far away, but it's nice. It's nice to see him take a break. And I feel we've been getting closer and closer and closer. The team gets stronger and stronger. And now we have more of a motivating factor, do it for Sam. Yeah. And and again, preseason doesn't tell us anything. So the only thing it might tell us is I'm curious to see who they might keep and pick up from the Wolfpack. And so, we had all these draft kids come in, and, we have Offman too. That was been good. So it'll be curious to see who they're going to pick up and keep. And have they? I don't even know if they even inked. Did they ink the deal with Igor?
I don't think it's done yet, because I think I read something a couple of days ago. They were still negotiating. He wants $12 million. I say give him everything, and then throwing a car on top of it. But I don't think it's officially done. I'm not worried that it's not going to get done. But I think it's still pending.
The good thing I'm looking forward to is Quick. So Quick, when he came last year, was like 20 wins away from his 100th, win, like not 100. Yeah. So I think it's 100th win. It's something, it's his milestone. And now with this whole full season, he's within reach. So I'm hoping that he gets another, like this chance, and we get it, and we actually can see it this year. So, and so what are we looking forward to? So let's go and add on some stats for Bovada too. So I want a long season with no injuries. So I'm wondering, we know something's going to happen. So, Bovada should have like how many games how many games before Lindgren gets hurt?
Yes.
How many lives does it take to get the center of a Tootsie?
I don't even want to answer that. That makes me so nervous. What if it's like day one? Oh, I can't.
But again, usually when he gets hurt, he gets better. So
get the old staple gun back out.
Yeah. And another Bovada one. Will Rempe fight on the first game? It'll be close.
I'm wondering. I think it'll depend on how his fight training going, because I imagine it's not just about the fight itself, but it's about the strategy of when to take the fight, when to not take the fight, how to deflect it. Because he's been doing that intense. He's been doing that intense training.
Just say no when these guys come up and tempt you during warm-ups. No.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing. He's still a good skater. He's fast for his size, and I am looking forward to seeing him get even better this season. I'm excited about that.
I am too, and I, as I said before, which I've seen with my own son, because he's the same size, if not a little bit bigger. He made some great plays, being a really good screener. So, let's change up your role, Chris. I know you're great, and you like to pop it in. When that move didn't work a whole lot this year, so change it up a little bit. But I'd like to see him there, Matt, as a screener when he's on the ice, to do that, because I think he's fantastic, and I think that's a good old-fashioned kind of high school, way to do things, which it works. And so, I saw a couple plays that way, and they definitely can't see him, and they can't move him because he's big. That's what I like. So I'm looking forward to a great start from the team. Again, they get in their own heads. We had some great streaks and records broken. Yeah. I feel like they want to continue that. But some of them I don't think you can get better. They won all the their Canadian road trip games, so you can't really get better than that. Panarin with his point streak, he can get better with that, and that got to his head. So we start off strong.
Mika, I would like to see him have a much better season. He had some great moments last season. It was pretty consistent. Obviously not in the playoffs, but I think that he had a lot of room to grow. And I'm hoping that he did more than just DJing in the off season, so he can come in, focused, ready to work.
Look, it's funny because I feel like they're silent. I want to say silent players. It's not really the right term. But when we don't see them performing the way we want to, or doing the moves we see them do, he was still scoring, and he was still doing things. Kreider was still like the high scorer in shorthanded goals. They were still doing stuff, but we expected them to do better when they're on that front line on the ice in the offensive zone, and they weren't performing that way as much as we wanted to, although they were performing in different areas. So I as much as I love their dynamic, it worked for a season, and I was very vocal about the fact that it wasn't working as much. It's too predictable. So I like to see them change it up, and I want to see. I'm curious. I'm excited to see how they're going to change it up, just to get it, just so that it gets in everybody else's heads, because they're going to be expecting one thing. I want them to be doing the other. So I know everybody wants to see Kako improve. I have faith in my guy. I love him.
He's on the verge. I feel like he was on the verge last year. He had some great moments. I think
he's out for a while.
Yeah.
So Hedl, I'm excited about. He's gonna stay safe and happy and have a great season too, because he started off great. I'm excited for everybody. That's the key. And I just really want to see that we go. That we just go far without any kind of major, incident, knock on wood, and that we stay as consistent as possible. I think, and I'm actually more curious than watching some of the other teams, because again, in the off season, I think they're saying that Carolina was having a lot of changes, so they're not really expected to be in a number one spot starting off.
Yeah.
I'm more curious to see how everybody else is going, you know, especially in our division. I always feel we have the toughest division. So Bovada, can you give us a break? You know, give us some good odds. Maybe we should, you know, I'm not a betting person so much, even after spending a week in a casino. But it'd be interesting to see, you know, how the other, you know,
We
teams.
we should do a little betting. So just looking at the schedule, the preseason kicks off on September 22nd. The first game is against the Bruins, but this is preseason. The first regular game is October 9th. The Rangers are facing off against the Penguins, and then the home opener is October 12th against
Saturday.
against Utah.
Yeah, so we're gonna.
That'll
be exciting. So yeah, so if anyone's listening, you're gonna be there. Reach out. I'll be there that day. We'll also put it out there as it gets closer. Would love to meet up with me. You know, hopefully we'll have some little giveaways and stuff when I'm there. And then there's another game Monday, which I'll plan on going to as well. So bring some of my paranormal friends, maybe.
Yeah.
And so, and then I hear like, so again, we kind of were. Now we got to catch up with this. I'll be honest, I haven't seen it. It's a big thing. Shoresy. So Shoresy's everywhere. I know it's a hockey thing, but I guess I learned that there's a hockey game coming up, which it is in Boston, and it's the cast of Shoresy against some alumni, like a Bruins alumni, maybe. So that's in November. So, you know, curious if we'll kind of follow this and see who's going to that. So.
It does sound like the most Canadian thing of all time. I can imagine the auditions for that show. It's like, can you act? Yes. Can you skate? Great. Hired.
You're hired. Just there because they're again. One of my favorite fun facts when I did this event last year was were the kids from the Mighty Ducks. When that movie came out that first year, they all lied on their resume and said they could skate. And when they all got together and they were picked for their roles, none of them could skate. Then I was like, "What?" Like, no,
so they had to go. Skate? They had to go.
They all lied, and then they had to pull in a skating coach, and the kids all took, you know, a few weeks and all learned to skate. So all of them, it was funny, and they, you know, they did well. So if you haven't seen that movie lately and you watch it, you realize those kids didn't skate 5 weeks before that movie started.
That's pretty impressive. I will hand that to them.
Now I don't think they skate anymore. They're all grown up and stuff. So that was pretty funny. so yeah, I mean, I think this will be a good dedication. I mean, that's what we're going to see. I mean, we're going to see that a lot in the comments and the people and the chirping and everything. And do it for Sam. And Bovada should have its own little section of like, how fast are all the fans going to just lose their shit and complain about something?
Totally.
Day one of preseason.
Yeah, you'll have to remind me that preseason is not regular season, because I remember last year their preseason did not go well, and I forgot it was not. They don't count.
Well, preseason again, it's changed over the years, and it's disappointing. So it was before everybody was there and skating, but it was a time to kind of get some of the minor league players up there, you know, the ones that they kind of were thinking about bringing up to get that ice time, but everyone was there. And now you have games where it's just them and half the team doesn't even show up. And so it's now it's just a showcase for the minor league, you know, for the Wolfpack. So, you know, it's different in how things are going. So,
yeah. Yeah. The schedule is also a little bit odd this year, because like the same like West Coast road trip that they used to do is now broken up into different times of the year. I think because of the addition of Utah, because it sort of shifted things around. Like the Rangers play the Kings and the Ducks on the same trip, but that's not until the end of March. They're out here for Vegas in January. So that they've divided up that West Coast trip into separate trips, which would be interesting.
When do they do Jose? Jose.
Same
trip. Oh wait, I was at that restaurant yesterday.
So it's the same trip that they played. So they play the Kings on March 25th, the Ducks on March 28th, San Jose on March 29th.
This
then
is
they go
the
home. So it's a separate. It's now the Kings are a separate trip than the Golden Knights, which is interesting. The Golden Knights, they come out here January 11th and play the Golden Knights. They play the Avalanche after that on January 14th, and they play Utah on January 16th.
Oh, so they kind of broke that up.
Yeah, yeah.
It'll be curious to see if that continues on that way after this year, and just the way they kind of break it up. But it also, I feel it tells me that the NHL is telling us we need to be adventuring more.
Well, yeah. And then speaking of which, just some interesting news about two teams in the NHL, that is the Dallas Stars and the Anaheim Ducks. Both teams have signed with a new platform called Victory Plus. We happen to know somebody over there, so we might have to get her. We might have to get her on to get a little information. But both teams have signed to allow all their home games to stream for free to their audience, which is exciting and sort of a departure from the bizarre rights and viewing situation. I don't know if the Rangers and MSG would ever look at a model like that, but that could be quite interesting.
Well, they have their own, so I think it's a little different there, because at least in New York they have MSG Plus, and but they have it where you can only access it there. We can't access it here. So, but I think that's free too, though, right?
MSG Plus is not. MSG Plus you can only get if you are a subscriber to MSG, so you have it through your cable. I don't think there's a separate. Maybe there is. Maybe you can buy it separately.
MSG
you have to be
MSG Go, I think, where they can access it, but you have to live.
You have to be in New York, which is kind of ridiculous. As a viewer who does not live in the tri-state area, I would happily pay. I think we've talked about this. We'd happily pay. So right now, we pay ESPN. But that same money could be going to the Rangers. And I think it's that these teams are realizing, like, there's a lot of power in their fan base. They can sell that advertising themselves. They don't need to go through a third party. So unless ESPN is offering them, big bucks for the rights, then maybe they all start doing it on their own.
I like it, because especially home games, because for people who don't, or, in New York, I mean, Liz and I live in LA, and we're blacked out, not only for the Kings and the Ducks, but for the Knights too. And we're not even in the same state. So I don't know why they group them up with us. So it really makes it hard to, even though we're at the games, but it makes it hard to watch when they're playing in New York, because we don't have these regular channels to do it, and they black it out because they say you have to go to Buffalo Wild Wings or something.
And the other thing that I particularly really love to do is I like to watch the pregame and postgame on MSG. I love Steve Valiquette. I want to see more of that, and we get cut off like literally the second the game ends. It's like, okay, no more feed, and I can find it, like they'll post it on YouTube, but like not for like a couple of hours. Like I want to watch the postgame after the game, because that's what it's called. It's called the post game for a reason. And I really do miss having that. So I would pay for that. But right now we're not even given that option.
Yeah, I know. So we'll see. This is an interesting developments. First, we're going to follow the story, get a little bit more detail on it. And again, as a reminder, I know, some people have been in the PWHL, but with the inaugural season of the entire women's league, every single game they had free on YouTube. So maybe that's another trend to kind of add to the fans, because their viewership for the PWHL was amazing. And then they added
for the first season.
Yeah, and then they added more. They added more flavor. They had sign language. They had interaction. So they had a chat board on there too. So people were interacting with the games, which I couldn't follow because I'm old. But it was fun to see the different things that they had going, and the people just interactively chatting throughout the game and interacting was fun too. So that brought a whole new fun level to watching the hockey games. So it'll be curious to see how that goes too, especially on YouTube, because you can interact and chat along the way.
Yeah. Which is fun. I think that's what we want to do. Well, on that note, Christine, I think we have some fun stuff to look forward to. I think Yeah, we'll all get through this off season together, and yeah, we need to.
And we only have a couple more days. So again, if you guys are planning on going, if you hear this, you're planning on going to opening day, or you're thinking about it, go join. Come, I'll give you details of where I'll be before and after and during, and it'll be fun, to meet up with people and start the season off the right way, and we're going to start planning our adventure to not only our local games, but seeing where else we can get to this season to enjoy something new.
Yeah,
Utah,
it'll
maybe.
be fun to check out.
We might try. It was what we're talking about. So, so there's exciting things coming along the way. We know there's going to be a couple other deals. We're going to start following stuff. So watch our page, watch our stories. I'm always telling people too, if you find something along the way, share it with us. And we love to share and collaborate. So we want to make sure that we keep up with the Joneses with everybody. It's kind of hard. I mean, people live on the internet. So fun stories we see coming up along the way that we'll share. And now we're talking weeks now, so
it's only a few days.
September is like in a couple days. So we can almost say there's hockey this month in a few days. Next episode.
Absolutely. On that note, everybody, our Instagram is double_D-Fense. That's DFENSE. We look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you so much.
Have a great week, everyone.